It is confirmed that Aaron Rodgers is indeed headed to Pittsburgh to be the quarterback for the Steelers, at least in 2025. We're going to discuss this today here on a special edition of Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That is correct. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL afternoon version, and I'm here to have a special conversation with you about a special situation that's going on in Pittsburgh. But first, I have to let you know that wherever you get your podcast, make sure you tap into that location. Whether you watch or listen, we will be there and we're free to subscribe to. So make sure you check us out. And shout out to the everydayers for joining us. If you're not one, you can be. And I got to make sure that I do a good enough job to make you want to come back. So let's get right to it. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Hello again to the everydayers. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL podcast. All right, so normally when we do the podcast, I have a co-host, but this is a special edition of the podcast. And just this morning or just today, Chris Carter and I recorded early on our Locked On NFL PM show that happens on Thursday, and you can catch that wherever you get your podcast. The reason was it's because we both had to go to OTAs. Normally, we record in the middle of the day. We get it out. It's out by 2 o'clock, right? I asked him last night, could he do it this afternoon? He said, I can't, man. He says, don't say nothing, but it's happening. I said, what's happening? He said, I got to be at the facility all day because Aaron Rodgers is going to sign, I think. A guy, we broke the story at the Post-Gazette. And I'm like, okay. I didn't say anything until now. I'm telling you right now, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback. Adam Schefter said it, everybody. He's flying to Pittsburgh. He's going to be there tomorrow, right? I'm going to let Chris Carter first tell you all about it, and then I'll come back and give you my spill on it. Now, in the second half of this special postcast show, the special edition show, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put out a question. It's rhetorical, but will this be Mike Tomlin's greatest moment? That's going to be interesting because Mike Tomlin has been Houdini when it comes to making sure we don't see certain stuff. LeVeon Bell, Antoine, AB, Antonio Brown, and maybe a few other cases. And he was able to conceal that. When those guys got away from Pittsburgh, all hell broke loose, right? This is different. Now you're bringing passive-aggressive hell to Pittsburgh, and it's going to be fun. So we're not going to sit here and just have all this fun by ourselves. We're going to invite Chris Carter in. That's right. It's Chris Carter. He's Carter Critiques on the X app. He works for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And most importantly, for us, Locked On Steelers. And he's our Locked On NFL afternoon barbershop guest every single Thursday. He's been busy all day. Listen to this, and we'll come back and give you our opinion.
There's a reason why I stopped entertaining those questions a while ago, because we've known basically it was going to happen. There has been a backdoor agreement that wasn't publicized between the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers that he was gonna come in before minicamp and everything was gonna be fine. And now Jerry Dulac, my colleague at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, broke the story nationally saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers is set to fly into Pittsburgh this Friday, tomorrow, sign with the Steelers, and he'll be set to attend mandatory minicamp, which starts next Tuesday, goes through next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So the Steelers will get will get Aaron Rodgers in. I would not be shocked if DK Metcalf shows up as well.
All right, there you go. Chris Carter from Locked On Steelers. Make sure you go over and check him out and check them out over at Locked On Steelers. They're going to probably have the news cycle for the next few days at least when Aaron Rodgers shows up. Now, what does this mean? It means Pittsburgh probably feels like they have a fighting chance. Big name, Hall of Famer, showed some flashes last year, right? Wasn't the Aaron Rodgers that we were used to seeing coming off of an Achilles injury. Maybe there's the extra year. And maybe because he's going to a more structured organization, this means it'll be better for him. I'm going to warn you against something. Don't think that Aaron Rodgers' last 2 years with the Jets was the reason why he was acting all indifferent and weird. And I'm going to tell you, that's exactly what it is to a lot of people, whether or not, if you're a Rodgers fan, a family member, or if you're him himself, you won't think it's weird. And it might not be weird. It just looked weird to all of us with the dude being on TV and maybe spewing more BS about a whole bunch of BS than it was about football. I'm going to tell you why this might be Mike Tomlin's greatest moment on and off the field in Pittsburgh. I'll do that, and then I'll come back and give you a little bit longer second session, and I'm going to tell you what this means for the Steelers and why I believe that this might be Tomlin's. This might be the thing that we look on his resume and say, there it is right there. We'll talk about it in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. Man, the NBA playoffs in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. Major momentum shifts and can't miss momentums, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Somebody's going to win a title this year in the NBA that hasn't won one before. You're going to have a new superstar. Will it be in OKC or Indiana? You need to find out, man. I'm telling you. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, big news of the day here on Locked On NFL. That's why we're having a special edition of the show. Aaron Rodgers, the report has been confirmed. He has agreed to be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Apparently, he agreed to it a while back, but they had a secret deal. And while we were all sitting here tripping, they had a deal anyway. He's going to show up tomorrow, get signed up, and be ready to go. And maybe DK Metcalf would even come and join him. They're going to be out there Monday during mandatory minicamp. So this is good for the Steelers on the field because they now know that they will at least have someone leading their team, and not just someone. That someone is a Hall of Fame quarterback who happens to be one of the 3 most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life, and I don't think he's number 3. The issue with Aaron Rodgers isn't his ability to play on the field. The issue with Aaron Rodgers might not even be his ability or his activity off the field. The perception and the narrative of Aaron Rodgers is that he's not a team player. And the reason why it's like that is because when his team is losing, he's always on McAfee with this little smug, happy look on his face. We've always been taught that losing games hurts and stings to the point where guys can't even talk. I mean, Jimmy Johnson he wouldn't speak to his team on a plane. He took losing so bad. And anytime somebody doesn't take the losing like that, we automatically assume that they don't care, or either they have too many other things on their mind. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we all feel like Aaron Rodgers has gotten a little smug. We feel like because, and God bless him for talking about other stuff. I don't ever want to muzzle anybody. I'm not a shut up and dribble guy at all. However, I can critique some of the things that you say, and some of the things that you say really have not been backed up with facts. So that kind of got weird. Pittsburgh is a classy, do it the right way organization. But I'm going to tell you something. Everybody thinks, okay, Aaron's going to act right. He's going to get back in line. Was he in line in Green Bay? Green Bay is an organization that is run with the same premise, with the same traditions, same blue bloodness, all that. I said blue bloodness like that's a real phrase, but it's going to be one for this show. All of that stuff. The question is, are we going to be watching a soap opera? The answer is no. And I'm not saying that because I think Aaron Rodgers is smart enough to avoid one. I'm telling you that Mike Tomlin is smart enough, skilled enough, and good enough to conceal one. You seen LeVeon Bell and Antonio Brown when they left? You see all that foolishness they did? They might have been doing that up there. In fact, I heard on Good Report that some of that stuff was going on up there. But guess what happened? You didn't hear about it. And it didn't run the entire news cycle. And it wasn't, the narratives weren't all over the place because Mike Tomlin does a real good job of keeping that stuff down. Here's a caveat, though. Here's a difference. Mike Tomlin knows guys like Mike Tomlin. He's from Tidewater, bro. He knows dudes like AB. He knows guys like LeVeon Bell. And that's not to say that they need to be controlled or you need to know them or you got to be from where they're from to communicate or that they can't accept leadership from people that aren't like them. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm telling you is he knew what buttons to push to keep them playing, but to keep them engaged, if you will. He also knew the buttons to push to keep it from getting outside that locker room, outside of a dude like AB standing there with his phone in the locker room during the speech. And seemingly when he was told not to do it, he stopped. When the last time y'all seen Antonio Brown have enough reverence for somebody where he listens to him? Le'Veon Bell, the only reason you knew about him is because he sat out a whole year and then made the mistake of thinking he's going to be just as good when he came back, and he wasn't. And now he's got all these outrageous things and accusations against him in the media. How was Mike able to suppress this whole time? Because they keep the main thing in Pittsburgh. I don't care who you are as a player, you're never bigger than a team. Much to the chagrin of a lot of people, they get sick when you don't win and you keep going along with this mantra and you're 9-7, 10-6, 11-5 every year. I'm going to give Tomlin a little bit of a break. Mike Tomlin has coached during the Bill Belichick era and during the Andy Reid Kansas City era. There's a lot of people that didn't win and wouldn't win in those situations. If I told you that in like a 16, 17-year period, the Spurs and the Lakers went to the finals 13 times. Kobe won 5 and lost 2, and I believe Duncan won 5 and lost 1 in that same stretch. That's 13 trips to the finals in 16 years, and they're both in one conference. What that tells you is there ain't a whole bunch of opportunities. We can't celebrate these dynasties without celebrating the fact or without mentioning the fact there's a whole bunch of people that didn't win because of them. But somehow Mike Tomlin gets left out. But here's the thing. Are you going to be good enough now at what you do on and off the field to prevent what I believe is the inevitable? You see, Le'Veon and AB is something you're familiar with. This is a whole different animal. That's like a Rottweiler and a Belgian Malinois. It takes the right owner. I've been watching these dog trainers, and these dudes go to these dogs that's crazy as hell with these muzzles on. And they walk up, grab the leash, dog's trying to do whatever. He can't get to him because of the muzzle. Within 45 seconds, that dog is being quiet. 10 minutes later, that muzzle comes off, and that man's petting that dog all around his face. And when he says come, the dog goes. And I'm not comparing humans to dogs, but I'm comparing disciplines and following instructions to strong leadership. This one, however, is a little bit different because this dog reads and wears glasses like the ones I got on right now. And this dog thinks he's like a Labrador retriever who was like in a lab and they did the Buddy Love professor experience something, and they made him a real smart ass, right? So now this guy actually is going to come in, and he's not going to have all of this aggression that you just have to tame. He's going to have a lot of passiveness that looks soft. And this dude has a way of making everything look like it's somebody else's fault. So am I concerned that Tomlin won't be able to do what he's done in the past and suppress these things, whether they're true or not, but they are the narrative? Is he going to be able to do that? Or y'all ever seen a man who looks like he doesn't care anymore? He once cared too much. That's what they say. Is this going to break him? AB and those dudes can't break him. Debo, even though James Harrison was his enforcer, he ain't breaking. Is Aaron Rodgers going to give one damn about the fact that Cam Heyward says, if you want to be here, come. If you don't, go? Is Cam Heyward, Hall of Famer, T.J. Watt, Hall of Famer? Are those guys enough? See, the Jets didn't have any of those guys, and Green Bay didn't have any that we knew about at the time. Are these guys good enough that Mike Tomlin won't have to do his job and they'll come in there and say, you need to relax? buddy? Or am I not giving Aaron Rodgers enough credit? Will Aaron Rodgers go in and with the respect that he has for the Steelers organization, go, let's fix my image. Come on, man, we're going to win. And if that happens, there are two things that change. One, we go back to realizing just how great Aaron Rodgers was, and we kind of forget about all of this foolishness, right, wrong, or indifferent, that has happened and occurred over the last 3 or 4 seasons. And Mike Tomlin no longer is the guy that people can say he won 1 Super Bowl. He did it with Cowher's team. He ain't that good. He's just mediocre. There are a lot of people that feel that way, even though this dude ain't had a losing season in 15, 16 years. Talk to a person that covers the team like myself that has only had 4 winning seasons in 28 years or something like that. It's close, maybe 5. The fact that we're arguing whether it's 4, 5, or 6 over 28 years is a problem. All right? Folks like me looking at y'all like, you got a cold? Man, I got something I can't get rid of. What are you complaining for? But there's some truth to it. And when you have heightened expectations, you ain't going to always win. But the one thing you always want to see is everybody giving it their all and everybody caring whether you win or lose. And it's going to be a real battle for me for the Aaron Rodgers feelings that people have about him to change unless he changes. And if he changes, we'll all embrace it. But if he doesn't, we're going to look at Mike Tomlin like, oh, you thought you were that quarterback whisperer. You thought you could contain him because you contain these dudes that show the teeth in their fangs all the time and they're always flexing. Well, you wasn't ready for that little intellectual Aaron Rodgers to come in here and absolutely drive you crazy. I've seen it with kids. I know people that, okay, I ain't going to say people. There's this lady that taught at the school that I grew up in. I grew up in the hood. Gangsters went to that school, right? And my family's going to hear this and know exactly who I'm talking about. She's the tough lady at the elementary school, man. And when I say gangsters, I'm talking about dudes 11, 12, 13 years old that are really about that life, right? Even back then. For 30 years, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, they all knew who she was. Miss Henderson. Rough. Had my kids. She was everybody. She was like everybody's grandmother. Like if you're from the hood, she was like that one lady nobody messed with. Until this little girl that I know very well had to go to that school. Little girl's a sweet little girl right now. As a matter of fact, she's a grown woman. She does hair. She has her own stuff. She's about as nice and as sweet a person as you want to meet. But she wasn't always that way when she was 10, 11, 12 years old. You see, this teacher that broke these gangsters, broke them. Said that girl broke her. And that girl wasn't scary, didn't carry weapons, didn't have muscles, but she had an attitude that I know very well. That girl was my daughter, Diamond. I was going to say at the time she was my stepdaughter, but I raised her now. It's been 18 years. She's my child. She's every bit of my baby. And I love her to death. But we always joke that she broke Miss Henderson. Miss Henderson said, ain't nobody ever did it, but that little girl finally got me. I wonder if Mike Tyson going to come out here looking like Miss Henderson and go, gangbangers, all these people, they see me and they cry. I saw Bootsy on TV. Little Bootsy was crying when he saw his teacher. They cried. They love me. That little girl. I wonder if Mike Tomlin going to come out and say the most passive, non-physically threatening person maybe that I've ever coached is the reason I'm standing here in front of you in this microphone and I'm giving it up. I'm just saying, if it is, you're going to look back at this podcast and go, boy, you are omniscient. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it will. But whatever happens, guess what? We'll talk about it tomorrow with Matt Williamson on the barbershop on the Locked On NFL PM show. Of course, Matt is in the building up at Pittsburgh. I know he's going to have a lot to say. Get your popcorn ready is what I'm telling you, and check out and see if Aaron Rodgers is going to break that thing up or if Mike Tomlin is going to end up looking like a genius and him and Aaron are both then be heading to Canton. Make sure you check out Locked On NFL Scouting Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino do it better than anybody, and they'll make you the smartest fan in the world. We will see you tomorrow here with Matt Williamson on the Locked On NFL PM show. Make sure you tap into Tyler Rowland first thing in the morning on the AM show. We'll see you next time here on Locked On NFL.